Hi, everybody. It's great. Hello. It's great to be back at the Web Summit, and it's great to be back in Rio. And I am fully aware that I stand between all of you and cocktails, so I am going to get right to the story. And that is this. I am here today to talk about an ism. Probably you don't spend a lot of time thinking about isms. A lot of them are kind of negative, like fascism and nihilism. You don't get more negative than that. These up here that you're seeing are relatively neutral isms. But I'm going to talk about a new ism that I believe is the foundation for how we interact as people and the foundation of next generation marketing communications. Okay, so are you ready for it? New ism. All right, it is two-way streetism. So let's just take a second and marvel at the magnificence of two-way streets. You can see Avenida Atlantica right here in Rio on the top. You can see 42nd Street, the Champs-Élysées. Two-way streets bring us together. They have intersections that bring more communities together. They are extraordinary. But let's look at the definition of two-way street. And this comes from experts at Oxford. And the definition is, you can read it here, a situation or relationship involving mutual or reciprocal action or obligation. So the big word here is reciprocity, right? Reciprocity. I do something for you, you do something for me. That is the cornerstone of how we interact as people. And we're going to talk about it, next-gen marketing communications. So I'm from an organization called Weber Shandwick, the Weber Shandwick Collective. We are the earned first network, right? And we believe that we have to contribute value to earn value. So for all of you out there who work for brands, with organizations, with institutions, you want to earn value for them, right? But to do that, you've got to contribute value. So that's what we're going to talk about now. But before we talk about it, we're going to go into the history of two-way streetism. And it begins, you saw that horse there, it begins a long time ago. In fact, at the beginning of time, give or take 4,000 years ago, in the cradle of civilization in the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley, and that's with the Hammurabi's Code. You might have learned about it in like the 5th or 6th grade, right? But what it was the first legal code, and if you learned about it, you remember it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I do something, you do something. Reciprocity. Let's go closer to today with Confucius. Now we're in 551 before the Common Era. And he phrased it a little differently. Do not do to others what you would not want others to do to you. But again, this is 500 years BC. Now we're getting closer and closer, and this is early Christianity. And this is what, and you probably heard this a million times, it's called the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's reciprocity. That's two-way streetism. It was incredibly important at that time because in society, people who were disabled, people who had diseases like leprosy were shunned in society. So Jesus and his disciples said, you know what? You got to treat everyone like you'd want to be treated. And that was the beginning of egalitarianism. All right, now we go into the New Testament. This is Corinthians, not the football team Corinthians, the New Testament Corinthians. And this is really all about, hey, you do more, you get more, right? That's it. You do less, you get less. It says it right in the New Testament. Then still later, we're getting more and more contemporary. We go to philosophers like Hobbes and Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And they were trying to make sense of government for people who didn't like government, right? We've seen some of that more recently. But they're saying, hey, what? You give up a little free will, you get security, you get safety. It's fantastic. It's all good. All right. Now I'm into the swinging 1970s, and two sociologists who did an experiment around reciprocity. They called it the Christmas card reciprocity experiment. Great title. What they did is they sent 578 Christmas cards to people they'd never heard of, never knew, never saw, knew nothing about. It was before the internet, so they probably plucked them out of a phone book. And they thought, okay, how many Christmas cards are we going to get back? They got back 20%. So 20% of people who got a Christmas card from someone they never heard of sent a Christmas card back, and that's a wonderful thing. If I recall the research, one person called the cops. So you have that going for you. All right. let's hurtle into the world of entertainment. And as we say, you're probably all familiar with The Wizard of Oz. Great two-way streetism. You got Dorothy and Toto and the Cowardly Lion, all of whom work together, give and take, right, in the face of the Wicked Witch of the West. And now more recently, hold on, you've probably seen this, The Last of Us. And here you got Joel and Ellie. They didn't know each other, right? And the give and take, the two-way streetism to get through the zombie apocalypse. I'm not going to spoil the show for you, but there's a fungus and it's not good. All right, so let us move on. Two-way streetism as an idea is certainly important. What's really important is it's kind of in our DNA. It's how we are wired. And that's important now, and it's important for all of us, again, who work for, with, on brands, institutions, organizations, because we've got to build the next generation. Even with all this technology, we've got to build the next generation of marketing communications around that idea. Now is more important than ever, and because, and I don't have to tell you, this world, complicated world, I'm going to talk about it in just one second, is a place where we've got to really return to that hardwired humanity. And that idea, the expression that we use at Weber Shandwick, you got to contribute value to earn it, is the way to be effective and efficient for sure, but it's also a way for brands to survive moving forward. All right, so a quick take on the world. This is from a marketing perspective. I cannot tell you everything there is to know about the world, but think about it like this. Here we are, 8 billion of us, almost 8 billion of us, are huddled on this planet of endless crises and complexity. We all talk about them, we're all impacted by them, we all live and work through them. You know the crises, the health crisis, the economic crisis, geopolitics, increasing inequality, the climate crisis, we're all living through. Media too, there's lots of media here, right? Media is part of our core in marketing communications. Proliferation, massive amounts of new media, new platforms, new channels, and fragmented media. Different strands of media attracting like-minded audiences, none of whom speak or relate to each other, right? That's a significant issue. And we have gone in our world from this top-down approach to influence, big media at the top with influence trickling down, to networks, all those siloed fragments of media being networks of digital communities, and that is fueling a new media economy. All right, the next thing is there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of content. You've heard about megabytes and gigabytes. The biggest byte of all is a yottabyte. That is, as you can see here, 1 septillion bytes, so that's a lot. There's infinite yottabytes of content. To give you a little bit of perspective on it, each of us, probably in this entire gigantic complex, scrolls through about 300 feet of mobile content daily. Perspective, that is twice as big as the Leaning Tower of Pisa and almost as big as Big Ben. Suffice it to say that's a lot of content. Here, this is an analyst called Scott Galloway. He's saying that 84% of people have said they don't want to be tracked. Lots of stuff out there. We don't want to be tracked by advertising, right? So here we are in this marketing world. We can have the ability to track people. People don't want to be tracked. Okay, some of us in this room, myself included, are doing lots of work on behalf of brands and making extraordinary content. This comes from Harvard Business Review, 77% of consumers say, you know what, I don't have any relationship with any brands. So here we are scrolling through 300 feet of content and people don't care about brands. Other people are paying dollars, lots of money to avoid advertising altogether. And as we know, and this is an issue here in Brazil, I know, and that is data regulation. Gartner, the research organization, says that by the end of this year, 65% of the world population is going to be covered by data regulation restrictions. So, okay, let's go back. Quick review. Here we are, hung out, wrung out, completely saturated with stuff, massive media silos, and we still don't care about brands. So, hence, we need to get back to this notion that is born of our humanness. Remember our expression that you got to contribute value to earn value. Right? That's really the heart of it. So that gets to something that we call an earned mindset. People talk about earned media, but this is about an earned mindset. So very quick definition. If you want to contribute value, you got to be in culture, you got to get culture, you got to be a part of it. and you got to make moves. You can't just say something. You've actually got to do something, right? That's the big difference. And when you do something, you earn the kind of coverage and conversation that propels that move, but propels the brands and organizations behind it. So that's an earned mindset. So don't take my word for it. We did a study with the IPA. It's a large institution based out of the UK that is focused on effectiveness of brands. I could send you all the study. There's many, many pages. I've reduced it to one slide, and that is this, that this is according to the study, which was just released a month ago, 53% of people, brands that have culturally salient, in other words, campaigns born of coverage and conversation, are 53% more likely to drive large business effects, meaning grow revenue, increase loyalty, those kinds of things, very important, and they're more likely, 2.6 times more likely to achieve significant profit. So, clearly, good numbers, as you see here. And let's take a quick look at some who are doing it, actually making the kind of moves, doing culturally salient, earned mindset campaigns. This is a campaign that comes out of France for a company called Frida. Frida makes mom and baby products. And the issue, insight, 19% of women in France breastfeeding in public were harangued, harassed, made to feel bad about it. One simple move made a magazine cover, fake magazine cover with an image like that, so everybody, man, woman, whoever you are, could put that magazine cover out in front of you, and we would all, in fact, be breastfeeding in public. So solidarity, that's moving to create legislation around that kind of harassment. Another case from France, a company called Iberdrola, which is an alternative energy company. It could not be more important in Europe to move to alternative energy. I'm sure you all know that. So how do you get awareness? How do you get people engaged? So you take wind turbines and you put them in the metro. So there's wind turbines in the metro. So not only did they raise people's consciousness about the importance of alternative energy, they actually powered the metro. Now this is going on to Spain to power that metro. So now I'm gonna show you a video, and this is the world premiere of this video. This was created by a Weber Shandwick collective brand called Cappuccino, based in Sao Paulo. It's extraordinary work, born of an insight, and that insight is the people who survived, who were the victims and the people who survived the greatest hate crime in modern history, and the Holocaust. The people who survived that are now dying. At the same time that hate is rising around the world, and it's rising here in Brazil. So our team asked several survivors of the Holocaust to talk about their stories of hate, but they weren't their stories. They were the stories of people today in Brazil who are victims of hate. So I'm going to show you the video.
What all these victims need, above all, is to know that they are not alone. That when their voices are stifled, we shall lend them ours.
Meu nome é Gabriel Waldman, sobrevivi ao Holocausto. Eu estava passando na rua, de repente se aproxima uma pessoa de mim com um cachorro. E ele não desgrudava de mim, ele me batia continuamente. O cachorro me mordia. Gente como eu, temos que morrer, dizia. A história que estou contando agora não é minha história. É do Nino. Ah, quem tá aí? Tudo bem, querido? Igual. Um abraço.
Essa história que o seu Gabriel contou é a minha história.
Hatred in Brazil is on the rise. So we asked remaining Holocaust survivors to adopt stories of recent hate crimes, giving unique testimony of the horrors of persecution still affecting minorities.
O objetivo dessa campanha não é de nenhuma maneira equiparar o Holocausto a questões atuais. É trazer essas lições para os dias de hoje.
And encouraging a new generation to adopt the stories of the survivors. The last chance to adopt living history. It didn't go unnoticed.
A campanha que vai ser lançada hoje no Museu do Holocausto.
E nesse momento em que vivemos, memória e informação são mais importantes do que nunca.
Para mostrar que a sociedade tem banalizado comportamentos de segregação que 80 anos atrás culminaram no extermínio de milhões de pessoas.
No Brasil foi lançada contando histórias
de anos.
Empowering
se repita.
Lembrar, recordar sempre, esquecer jamais.
Thank you. So thank you. It's a beautiful campaign. It's an important campaign. It broke the internet here in Brazil, and I think the most extraordinary thing is for the Minister of Education to say we are putting that on the curriculum so that kids will learn about it here in Brazil. So, okay, we go back. It all began at the beginning of time in roughly 1750 BCE, some 4,000 years ago. This notion of two-way streetism, reciprocity, doing something, right? So I just wanted to conclude by saying that I think that two-way streetism is truly the one way to survive now. So I hope you share my passion for that, and I just want to thank you and say cocktails await. So thank you all.